I'm here with Geirmund Hansen to talk about Rendezvous Point, latest record, Dream Chaser, out June
Yeah.
21st on Long Branch Records. First of all, let me just say thank you very much for taking the time. I really appreciate sitting down with you to talk about the record, to talk about the band. How are
Yeah,
things
the
on
same
your
here.
side of the Atlantic?
Yeah, thank you. It's nice. It's summer's almost here. The records is almost finally out. We're super stoked and happy. It's many will say long overdue, but we're so excited to release the whole album and being able to see what our fans feel about it.
Yeah,
And yeah.
yeah. Can you share a little bit of the theme that runs through this record, Dream Chaser?
Yeah, like musically, I would say that it's a more mature version of us as a band. There are a lot of ideas who's been brewing in many years, and the songs have yeah, it's taken quite a lot of time to develop them and to make them as they are. So it's basically Nikolai and Peter uh, trying to explore the Rendezvous Point universe in a more relaxed way than before. It's all about cool tunes and cool riffs, and then I try to kind of contemplate that with nice melodies and some stories inspired from my own life and this alter ego that kind of has a viewpoint on the concept of tormented artists, the idea which are in a way a bit romanticized. I'm fascinated by the concept of an audience kind of romanticizing the struggle. Okay, let's see it like that. Leonard Cohen um, kind of has a story about him wanting to depress his body and live in agony so he can find his kind of best art. Um, and that goes for so many musicians and artists during the time that it often great artists often suffers from mental health issues, and that is not to be joked with. But when it comes to art, it's almost romanticized, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's a
no.
fascinating concept, um, and of course, I'm drawing the line between watching others um, having to struggle and also myself in in many of the same ways. So there are a lot of stories that kind of describes how one of the songs is how a child looks at his father just disappearing from the real life to kind of dig deeper into the creating art concept. So yeah, I don't know if I explained that very well, but
Uh,
yeah, it's
I get what you're saying because very often I talk to musicians and during interviews and whatnot, and the theme of that when you're happy you don't make great art. It seems like you only make great art when you're sad, when you're depressed, and when the darkest of thoughts are invading your mind is when you're at the most creative. A lot of people see it that way. A lot of people
yeah.
believe in that idea. So I totally get what you're coming from. Now, when it comes to good dreams, perhaps, which ones are you chasing?
I'm chasing the everlasting, the chase that never ends, called happiness and consent and kind of uh, yeah, just finding an inner peace in a way. I tend to struggle with that, even though I have on paper the best life you can possibly have. I live in a safe country, with roof over my head and a beautiful family, and I'm able to work with what I love, with singing and making music, but still there are some inner demons that kind of uh, disrupt me having the best how do you say it, how I can experience it, that kind of dream life in my inner conscience. There's always something that kind of, the devil on your back, that
Always
never,
whispering.
yeah, is always whispering. So my dream is kind of to pursue that I can just relax and be self-aware of what I have in this moment, and to enjoy it basically, which makes me a better person and a better father and a better husband and a better band member. So, but it's difficult, and this process with this album has really tested me, because it started when Corona hit,
Mhm.
uh, and I never we never got to play together in Rendezvous Point. We never saw each other for quite a long time, but we all at the same time tried to make this album, and I found it very, very difficult, was very uninspired, and eventually graduated into a form of depression. So that kind of idea that great music comes when you're feeling down, I didn't feel that anyway. So I had to kind of conquer those those demons, and the music came when I kind of worked through my struggles. So it took quite a long time to get it done, but now I'm very happy that the result is what it is.
Considering those struggles and the difficulties, personal challenges going into making this record, does that make this album more challenging to perform when it comes to certain songs on the record?
Not like personally. I tend to have a bit of distance in writing. There's a lot of kind of, call it fiction, in the lyrics, so it's not like super personal, just portraying my life. But there are some aspects there, of course. But I've previously had that in other albums as well. So, and I'm quite like open and honest about it. So that should not be a problem. What could be difficult is the like technical part of it. I had, call it, very good days in the studio, singing super difficult bright melodies. So that would be I have to really get into a rehearsal mode before touring, because it's gonna be difficult to sing like technically.
Is this album, from that standpoint, from a singing standpoint, is this album a more demanding record than any of the previous ones?
Some of the songs are, but I tend to kind of shoot myself in the foot every time I'm in the studio, because you get into a groove, and I like, the powerful melodies, and that often kind of tends to go in a um, in a very high pitch. But I wanted to vary it a bit on this album, singing a bit darker, softer themes as well. But I don't know. Music, it's not fun if it's not challenging. So
How
it's a
much
part of the
work
game.
how much work have you put in on your vocal side? Has it been more organic as you've developed from record to record, or have you taken the time to do some actual work on it to maybe improve on certain areas that you felt like you could do better?
To be honest, there are some aspects of my singing that I wish could be more developed, like growling and screaming. I would be very happy to be able to do that in the studio sessions, but I'm not like self-confident enough on that part to record it. It often happens live with adrenaline and and you know the system being pumped up, so it's easier to do it like in front of a crowd. But on like when you're working hours and hours in the studio trying to perform your very best, I find it quite difficult to use that types of techniques. So that's something for later. I really want to challenge myself to do, and maybe have some singing lessons perhaps from people who master it in a better way than me. So that's something that's yet to come.
I love your vocal delivery. I love the tone of your voice, the warmth of your voice, and how you're able to paint such a vivid picture of with each and every single song, with the way you pronunciate the words and everything like that. Do you have somebody that you look up to as an inspiration for that style and for that approach?
To be completely honest, like in this genre, I really don't. I get very I can get very emotional and inspired by listening to great singers. Now I know a lot of great singers that's in the sorry, in the same kind of progressive rock genre, but I really uh, I really want to create my own unique stamp in this kind of musical landscape. So I try to be intuitive and just follow my own path. But of course, everyone is inspired by something. But I don't have like him or her that I kind of want to replicate in a way. But you know, it comes down to old heroes as Jeff Buckley. I'm really into Nothing But Thieves at the moment. So, and there's that singers who have a lot of intensity and yeah, and feel to their performances. Um, and what I try to do is to be as honest as possible in my vocal delivery. So the lyrics has to kind of match with how I sing it, as you said. Um, and by that, maybe it's just I'm able um, to put my own personality into my singing in a way, and that's very fun to do because it makes it. I feel it makes the music more unique when it kind of just comes from what lies within my own musicality.
Has your path of self-discovery as a musician, as a singer, been similar to the path that the band has taken?
Yeah, I think so. I find that in periods when we're together and when we're touring, we really develop as a band. We get more edgy. We get kind of. I haven't talked with the others, but you know, everyone in the band has so much talent and so much musicality, but at the same time we're so very different. Everyone has like their own preferences and what they like and what they want to inherit in the music, so that when you mix everything together, it kind of comes to this beautiful, fun, hard. It's very varied. But this record was all about just making cool songs we never thought about like keeping it in the prog genre, but that kind of comes natural. We want to reach everyone, both the people that listen to pop music, also the the metalheads, and of course the ones that are more into like progressive, intricate music. But as long as we are happy with the songs, as long as I can put the record on in the car and just enjoy it, like from a bird perspective, we're super confident that others will like it as well. So we make music mostly for ourselves, and we're lucky if other kind of follows it.
The legacy that you guys are creating as a band with your music, when you look at those around you, at your family, the closest ones to you, does that legacy in part become also their legacy? Do you see it from that perspective, that what you do one day is also going to be a reflection on them?
Yeah, good question. I think we're quite early in our careers. Even though on paper I'm probably not, but I feel quite young still. I quite
You're
feel
young.
like we're in like the start of something that could be massive. We had a setback with Corona, that kind of put us back a few steps in terms of like outreach to a bigger audience. So we really hope that this album will get us back in like in front of people's heads. But of course, I can just speak for my kids. They love our music, even though they don't understand the lyrics. I know that my son, who's 5 years old, they listen to Rendezvous Point in the kindergarten, and my older daughter, they listen to our music at school. So they have a sense of pride in what I do and what we do as a band, and that's something really cool. So yeah, what we create, it touches like our family's life in a way, but hopefully it will make a bigger impact if when we grow, when we get bigger, have a greater outreach, and yeah, we have to building the foundation for something that one day probably will be world domination. I don't know, but yeah.
I hope you get what you're asking for. I've been listening to you guys for a very long time,
Okay,
so
cool.
I've seen the growth from record to record. I've seen how you guys have developed your sound, your DNA, your fingerprint, and a lot of that is with diversity, not really being afraid of taking chances and creating something that doesn't necessarily fit in a box or in a mold. So when you look at the band, is the biggest strength of the band to not be defined by just one way of doing things?
Yeah, I think that's the nail on the head. Um, as I said, we only care about like if someone has an idea, we try to develop that idea and hopefully it turns into a song. We don't have a recipe of how that song should be, but it comes natural from the energy in the first kind of spark that becomes the song. So if Nikolai sends me a piece he's written on the piano, I can be inspired of me hearing that for the first time, and we can spar together, and then and then Peter can come with his kind of first ideas to the song, and as in every band, you kind of inspire each other, but we kind of write the music together. It's not like, it's not just me who decides, okay, everything should be like this and this. We trust each other in the process. And we let each other's voice be heard, both literally and of course musically. So it's a very democratic way of running the band, but I think that's a very healthy way for us to do it. So if I have a melody or a hook which I really like and the others don't, I'm kind of forced to listen to their opinion. And often that leads to a better result, a better something even cooler than what I thought was possible in the first place, and vice versa. So we trust each other musically, and that leads to cool things.
One last question for you. When most metalheads think of Norway, they think of black metal. It's almost like
Yeah,
it's the only thing that exists in Norway. Uh,
yeah,
Obviously, you guys and bands like Leprous, for example, are proving that there's a lot more diversity and sound in Norway than just black metal. Do you think
absolutely.
in the future, folks will look at the Norwegian metal scene and see it for what really is, a melting pot of different sounds and experiences?
Yeah, I think Norway should be very proud of like the legacy, the black metal legacy, the pioneers in a way that which led kind of put Norway on the map like globally. Of course, we're not like the apple has fallen quite a long way from
The
the
tree.
tree on in this one, but there's so many great musicians and artists coming from Norway in all genres. Um, and so with of course Lepers and us, Lepers being probably one of the biggest prog metal bands in the world right now. Um, so they kind of lead the way, but we don't want to be in their shadow. We want to create something 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 that can grow beside them, and it's funny because Bård plays in both bands, so there will be a link either way how you put it. And we know all the guys and they're super great and we really root for them, but for us it's about like creating Rendezvous Point and making that develop into something that we all feel could be massive. And we want people to look at Norway and see that we're bold, and we want to make music that connects with people, to make people feel not just anger and rage, but also like melancholy and like the more fun part of music. We can make people, if we can have like the whole variety of feels during a concert, we're happy. So I want people to cry. I want grown men to cry on my concert because they're moved, but I also want them to be like, yeah, let's fucking do this. Have um the full feel if you catch my drift. So by working as we do and releasing this album, I think even more people will have a look at what we do in our quite small country and hopefully be impressed and just keep an eye on what's happening up here, because there's a lot of very interesting bands coming up, and yeah, I'm very proud to be a part of that.
As you should be, and you guys are a huge part of that. Like I said, I've been listening to you guys for a very long time, so you always
Thank you.
hit me at one of those bands that you never really know what you're going to get until you press play on the first song of a record, and every album is its own kind of journey, and just
Yeah,
and I love your voice. I think you have such a great sound coming out of your voice, the way you hit those words, the meaning and the emotion that you transmit with the words that you're saying. It doesn't feel like you're just reading them. It feels like you're saying what you feel, and
yeah.
that to me is beautiful, and it makes the music super beautiful as well. So thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
That means a lot, man. Thank you so much.
No problem. My pleasure. Take care, man. All the best.
Yeah, see you soon, man.
See ya.